me. My name's Arnaz-Pemberton. I'll introduce myself in a second, and welcome to Wellingtone's latest community webinar. Our webinars are short and sweet, so it's about giving you short, sharp bits of information. So the content will only take about 18 minutes, but we will have questions at the end, so you do have the opportunity to ask any questions. You should see a question panel on your go-to webinar. And one of my colleagues, Nicole, is going to be monitoring that. So at the end, we will go through any of your questions, and hopefully we can give you some tactics and some tips to think about your PMO identity. So for those of you that haven't been involved with the Wellingtone community before, my name is Arnaz-Pemberton. I'm the Director of Consulting Services at Wellingtone, and I work alongside all the different associations for project management as a volunteer. At Wellingtone, I also look after sustainability and corporate social responsibility, and I organise our annual conference, Future PMO, which is happening in just under 4 weeks, 4 weeks tomorrow, in fact. So if you haven't already got your tickets, make sure you do, because we are down to the last few. If you haven't been involved with Wellingtone before, hopefully you are already all Wellingtone friends. We are a project management consultancy firm. We have an office in Windsor here in the UK. We also have an office in Dublin and also one in Madrid in Spain. And our mission is to enable our clients to make a step change in their maturity. And we do that by ensuring that it's not just the consulting or the training or the technology, it's also then about continuing that conversation both internally within your organisations and with Wellingtone ourselves outside. And we will talk a little bit about that as we go through this really important topic. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about what a team brand is. We're going to understand why you need to brand your PMO. Lots of people kind of always say, why do I need to do this? So hopefully we'll show you the importance of it. You're going to learn some tips for branding, so some of the things that myself and my colleagues have done in the past, and identify some next steps. So where is the best place to really start? So again, if you do have any questions, Nicole's going to be keeping an eye on those, and I'll be answering those at the end. So do feel free to pop them either in the chat or in the questions panel. So a team brand. A team brand is a really powerful strategy that actually really helps us to establish consistency, which is one of the key deficits for PMOs in terms of being able to gain consistency around how their tools and techniques are utilised. It can really actually help to unify employees and those that are involved in change, and it can really help you to appeal to your internal customers. That word is really important, customers. And during our Wellingtone Academy courses, we talk a lot about identifying who are our internal customers of the PMO itself, and how can we engage better with them? How can we treat those customers as though they were external customers of a company? So, you know, collaboration, asking for their opinion, engaging them, getting feedback, and working with them to make the project management practice better. So a brand is really around a set of core values that really guides the team's actions. It showcases the principles that might influence day-to-day decision making, but provide that framework for that behavior, the output, that relationship building, really allowing people to see and experience what is their experience going to be like once they've worked alongside the PMO or they've come to ask us a question. It really helps to bring the team together to kind of create some high quality standards that allows us to be consistent as a PMO. So regardless of who they speak to in PMO, our internal customers, they have a similar experience. For instance, a team brand might emphasize the importance of customer satisfaction. This principle can really encourage our team members to listen to client concerns and work efficiently to deliver faster results. It can also really allow them to share a common goal, making it easier to collaborate effectively. So by having that as part of our brand, we can actually motivate the team in something that we call in change management nudging. Just by having it there, hopefully it makes people make the right decision. It also defines how those outside of the PMO view the team itself. So if you show that your team members work together to deliver the best possible results, then you're more likely to appeal to potential internal customers and potentially bring more people in who want to collaborate, who are interested in the project management journey. And for PMOs, it really differentiates the PMO itself from other aspects of business operations. Quite often, we get lost in the fog. There are some organizations within our businesses, teams that are very well defined: HR, finance, accounting. So it really, we quite often get lost in that fog, and people sometimes don't even know that there is a PMO, and when they do know there is a PMO, maybe they don't know who or where they are. So it really helps to differentiate us from those other aspects of business operations. If we do something that's a little bit different, it actually creates curiosity and interest, which are two human conditions that we do seem to lose as we grow older. And it's important to tap into that as we try to develop our PMOs. And because of that, it brings more recognition and engagement. When people see the brand, they know that's from the PMO. They will engage with that in a slightly different way. This is really important because from research that's been done back in 2022, brand messages reach 561% further when shared by employees versus the same messages that are shared by our official brand social channels. 561%. So immediately we know that by utilizing that brand, making sure that everybody in our team is absolutely versed on that and can communicate and articulate that, we know that branded messages that come out that way from the team are going to get better engagement. We know this as a fact. So it can also help employees to feel like they belong. Everybody wants to feel part of something bigger than themselves, especially now that we are working in many ways a dispersed way. So people are more likely to sell the benefits of working with the PMO and engaging with the process really by supporting that brand message. It can also give that kind of organizational image. Quite often people come to our PMO Academy courses and they'll say, oh, we're seen as the process police, or we're an admin function. So it really actually helps to create an image for the organization to understand what it is that your team represents. You can connect with internal and external customers who will share complementary values. And finally, the PMO will not be the best PMO in the organization or the world if no one knows that you exist. So you will only really know how good you are and let other people know that if you make yourselves visible. When team members share the same values and goals, it's often easier for them to collaborate and resolve differences. That camaraderie can boost morale, it can help to make the workplace feel more comfortable, and it can even appeal to new employees because they know that the PMO is a friendly place to work. And if we look externally to our businesses, this is important because it can even show suppliers and stakeholders that working with a company is a good idea. If we emphasize competitiveness, then our investors might be more willing to fund our operation. If we talk about customer satisfaction within the PMO and we talk about how we will represent our external customers thanks to the work the PMO are doing, it can really help to put that competitive advantage when we are going out looking for more business and looking at tenders or whatever it might be. So it is really important. We know that brand messages can get out there, but it has to be bigger than just that corporate conversation. It has to come from the PMO itself, and it has to come in an enthusiastic way. So ways that we can start the brand. So we need to first of all understand what our mission and our values are. Now, I've worked with and alongside people who will always tend to say, oh, this is really soft and fluffy stuff, we don't need this. But I've just shown you the importance of the brand, how much wider your messages can get out there in the organization if you have a much more cohesive brand that people can recognize and they understand what it means. So for me, it's really important to know your mission and your values. You need to include your customers in the design, and you need to carry it through. You need to make sure that you put your money where your mouth is effectively. So our Wellingtone branding, as you can see at the top of this page, is your PPM capability guaranteed. There are no other consultancy firms that guarantee that we will increase your capability through working with us. Now, we know that a course doesn't make a project manager, and it's exactly the same when we're doing any kind of consulting or bringing in technology. What we have is the Wellingtone community. So actually it's providing the skills and the disciplines and then allowing people to follow that through, to carry it through in a safe space. That's what gives us capability over time. So you need to make sure that whatever your brand is, whatever it's promising, that you carry that through, not just in that immediate very first reaction or very first interaction. You need to make branding part of the day job. In terms of actually making this work, it has to be consistently used. So don't stop at your one brand document. Make sure that everything you have is documented, and it is documented in the same way. Create a clear comms plan. I always say you can't half do communications. You can either do communications or you don't do it at all, but half doing it is not worth it. It's just going to waste everybody's time, and it's actually going to cause more confusion about who you are and what you do. So we need to make sure that we create a comms plan that we commit to, first of all. If we're not able to commit to it due to capacity, due to ability to actually create the stuff that we want to create, then we need to take a long, hard look as to, is this the right time to do this? Do we need a bit of upskilling? So first of all, can you commit to it? Not through sheer will. Sheer will is lovely, but we also need to make sure that we have the skills to carry that through. And secondly, think about your comms plan as a way to identify vehicles to talk to our internal customers, vehicles that allow us to collaborate, to ask questions, to feedback, to bring people together and share experiences. So make it much wider than it's an email chain that we're going to be sending. Secondly, start selling. You are salespeople. Fundamentally, we know that project management in lots of organizations is still not seen as a strategic discipline. So we need to make sure that we are consistently selling the idea of PMO and project management. We should be promoting and championing this by behavior. So when we change something, we should be utilizing our own life cycles and products to do with project management. Also in the behaviors and interactions that we show to our customers, as well as in the artifacts and the documents that we push out of the PMO. One of the things that I always used to say in one of my PMOs was, if it's not sexy, it's not leaving this office. So if it's not branded, if it's not looking how it should look so that it's professional and it aligns with our values, then it shouldn't leave your office. And lastly, I would say be brave. One of the key things for me is we have to step outside of our corporate grey or blue or whatever that corporate colour is. The reason for that is it's not about the colour, it's not about the font, it's not about the way that we utilise our specific brand. But sometimes to get the PMO noticed, we do have to take a step away from the corporate grey, so that when things land in people's inboxes, when things land in the all hands meetings and in the newsletters and in the posters that we put around the spaces that we have, that people recognise it as PMO. Doesn't have to break the branding guidelines, but maybe utilize one of the subcolors of which all brands tend to do, so that people start to create and what the PMO is, where to access stuff, who they are, how to access the humans within the PMO as well, and what it means to engage with the PMO. It's really important that as you start to think about all of this, is first of all to understand, who do you serve? We know that PMOs are servant leaders. Yes, we are in many ways in control of the life cycles and the way that projects are run, but fundamentally we're there to make things better for the delivery teams and the rest of our internal customers. So really think about, who is it that we serve? What challenge or opportunity are we trying to address? The reason why PMOs exist is because there was at some point a challenge or an opportunity that we want to lever or address. We can see this when we did some research and we aligned the Maslow's hierarchy of needs to the PMO. There has to be a reason why the PMO exists. So we need to know that. Do we have a business case? Have we justified the PMO existence? Chances are we haven't. So we need to go back to that and make sure that then when we design our brand, that we're doing it for the right reasons. And also think about the future. It's not just about now. We need to be mindful that the world of project management is constantly changing. So we live in this world that's volatile and uncertain and complex and ambiguous. So we need to also have an eye on the future as we design all of this. In terms of next steps, first of all, understand if this is a realistic goal. Is now the time, the right time for you to do this? Make sure that you bring the team back together, regardless of the governance model you have, whether it's a centralized PMO, a hub and spoke model, whether it's a distributed PMO or something else. Bring the team together to do this. This isn't something that a PMO manager should do on their own. Consult your internal customers and listen to feedback. They will be very open to doing this kind of, or some will be very open to doing this kind of work with you, as long as you understand who you are doing this for and what is the challenge or the opportunity that we're trying to address. So make sure that you consult with your internal customers and listen and take on the feedback. Commitment is key. We can't half do this. We either do it or we don't do it. If you feel like now is not the right time, for whatever reason, whether we are preserving cash flow at the moment, whether we're really busy with annual planning or whatever it might be, make sure that you have the capacity and the capability to start doing this when you decide to do it. So look at your roadmap, your PMO roadmap, and don't just slot it in. Make sure that it's scheduled in at the right point for you to be able to give this the time that it deserves. And those of you that are in the Wellingtone community, you absolutely have access to that. So feel free to contact us if you need help, if you want advice, if you want to put something in front of one of us, we can absolutely help with that. Those that have attended our academy courses can make use of our Dr. PMO clinic as well. So if you start this kind of work, you do get access to that clinic if you've been on one of our courses. And before we go to questions, as always, stay in touch with Wellingtone, keep the conversation going. If you're not sure about anything, we will be sharing this video and the slides with all of you online, so you can listen back. And if you do have anything that you feel, oh, I'm not quite sure about that, then do keep that conversation going. So just before we go, I just want to say thank you very much for joining this lunchtime webinar. I know that everybody's really busy, so we do genuinely appreciate you attending. Keep the conversation going, both internally and also with Wellingtone. We are very happy to help through the community. So do keep in touch. Hopefully we'll see you at the conference on the 26th of October. But if not, we'll see you at our next event. Thank you very much for coming.